We're now 10 days away from a decision that we have been speculating about for what feels like forever, Dan. What are you hearing right now from NFL front offices about Tua?
Yeah, Greeny, hearing that there is a conundrum here. You hit it on the head. It's not Tua's decision to make. It's some NFL team's decision to make. And the fact of the matter is no one's questioning the young man's toughness. No one's questioning his ability. No one's questioning that football is a difficult game where people get hurt. But the fact of the matter is there are NFL teams, GMs, personnel people, owners who will believe, who will tell you if a guy got hurt a lot in college, he's a good bet to get hurt again in the pros. And if the Miami Dolphins and the LA Chargers and the Carolina Panthers are among those teams, then there's a chance that they don't take Tua. So that's the issue here with 10 days to go. Teams, let's focus on the Dolphins, right? Everybody knows the Dolphins need to come out of this with a quarterback. They've been tied to Tua for a long time. They have a conundrum. They have a decision to make. Do you risk the number 5 pick on a player when you have concerns about his long-term durability? Do you trade up to pick number 3 to make sure you get that player? These are the conversations that are going on with and around the Miami Dolphins right now and around other teams that might be interested in taking a quarterback high in the first round.
All right, Dan, stay with me. I'm coming back to you. But do I have Laura? But Laura, here's the thing. Laura and Marcus and Dan are with me this morning here for those of you who are just joining us. So here's what we know. You have done extraordinary reporting and very detailed on the surgery and on the hip and the recovery. And he may very well be healthy right now. That we believe we know. What I think we know without any question, despite what he may say, is he is injury prone. And that is just a reality here. And Laura, there's no doctor who can suggest otherwise, right? And that has to be, if I'm an NFL team, that's my biggest concern.
Right. And it continues to be the biggest concern of any team, to Dan Graziano's point, that will be interested in Tua and has been interested in Tua. I think what we're dealing with here is obviously a conundrum, but there's so much more to it. I mean, you look back at these injuries, it's important to note that both ankle surgeries were done for Tua because they were trying to get him back to play in the college football playoff. I mean, there's really no other way to look at it. They really wouldn't have done those surgeries otherwise. They are actually surgeries that create a zip tie in somebody's ankle and allow them to be stronger going forward. The reason why I bring that up is because, Greeny, to your point, we are saying that this guy is injury prone. He's had all these injuries in the past. That's a part of his story. But what's also a part of his story is that these surgeries, for the medical reasons that we've illustrated, will make him stronger. Now, he just has to continue to stay healthy. I think one thing, too, and Dan Orlovsky and Marcus can speak to this as well, what does happen here is you're seeing Tua come out and say, I'm not hiding anything. I'm showing you everything I possibly can, which is all he can do right now. That's going to continue to be where he lies. What I do know as well is the teams that were interested in Tua really liked that tape that they sent out, that pro day that they sent out. They were very impressed by that, specifically some of those 47-yard throws that really required a lot of movement in the pocket, really showing how healthy and how good he does look right now.
Now, that was the tape that he put out last week. Dan, I know you said you spent some time looking at it. What did you see?
Yeah, the tape was really good. It was everything that you could hope for, whether Tua was healthy or not. I mean, there wasn't a lot of evidence. Now, I would say that near the end of that tape, you saw a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of favoring of his hip. But again, this is a month of heavy work that he's had. But the tape was outstanding. Greeny, I want to touch on the quote a little bit. Tua talks about the sport being a violent sport. There's no debate about that. But what quarterbacks do when they get into the NFL and how they mature is they make it less violent for them. Guys like Drew Brees play a certain way to make sure their body's not exposed. Matthew Stafford had to learn this as a young player who took a ton of injuries and changed the way he played. So he needs to realize that it is a violent sport, but you take some of that violence away by the way you play. He talked about control the things I can control. Well, you can control how much you expose your body to unnecessary hits. And that's going to be a big growth thing for Tua. And I believe he's smart enough to do that. And then, Greeny, I'm going to throw a question back at you, and I actually want you to answer this. Two quarterbacks that came out of the college football that had some injury tied to them were Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz. And both have suffered injuries in the NFL that have hurt their ability to be on the field. They've missed some games from it. Would you still want those two guys as your quarterback? Because every general manager in the NFL would. Would you want that, even knowing some of the injury history?
Yes, right now I definitely would. But you don't draft. If Carson Wentz plays 10, 12 healthy years, if Deshaun Watson plays 10, 12 healthy years, then it was the right decision. And if their careers are ultimately curtailed and cut short by those injuries, then it wasn't. And to me, it's about as simple as that. And we don't know that yet about either of them. Right this minute, of course, you would take either of those guys. They're probably two of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Swagoo, let me throw it at you because you may have seen the pop that Himbo put up on our screen there. A better than 50% chance, according to our analytics, that Tua goes 3. That either means Detroit is taking him or Miami or someone else is trading up to take him. Are you doing that? Because that's quite a it's quite an investment you're making there. That's quite an obligation you're making there, if you will. Are you willing to do that? Trade a whole bunch of stuff to go up there and take him?
Gee, I'm willing to do it, and the reason I'm willing to do it is because I don't want to miss out on Tua. It's betting the better side of the conversation that we're having. But to that point, man, if I'm in that position and I've seen Tua, and Laura and I have extensive knowledge, Dan has extensive knowledge of studying tape on Tua, but Laura and I being around Tua from his maturation process, from him being young to right now, he's a very perspective-driven kid. He understands context. He understands what he needs to do, and he makes those adjustments. You can't play for Nick Saban if you're not willing to adjust. So those are the things that I would draft. I would move up to draft him off of. It doesn't mean I wouldn't be scared as hell, though, G. And it doesn't mean I wouldn't be worried about it, because context is key here. We're talking about a franchise quarterback as opposed to any other position in the NFL. That's why this decision is so difficult. Changing the face of your franchise hinges on this pick.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.